Hi, welcome to my channel. Today we are making this Madison bag. A couple of changes I made was the inside elastic pocket. I did not roll over the edge. I actually just made two pieces and slipped the elastic through it, and I birthed the bag through the pocket. Other than that, I did make the pocket a little bit bigger because that pocket was like really tiny. Other than that, there were no other changes to the bag. I have a leaf pull, and the main zipper has a fossil pull to go with all the Animal Crossing. So hopefully you like the video. It is slightly choppy just because it didn't get done on the same day like I normally do, but I think I still get the video done decently. If not, let me know. It's fine. Like, subscribe. Don't like it, that's fine. It's all good. Thank you. See you making the bag. Okay, so as we know, first things first is to do the strap. This will be one strap for this bag. It is a crossbody bag. Once again. So, you know, with the fabric, I'm doing the double-sided strap. So fabric on one side, vinyl on the other side. As always, you want to fold your raw edges in on both sides, and then you'll fold it to the middle. And I'll mark my center down here. So let me press the raw edge in real quick. And I do have my iron over here on the side of me. And do the other end, and you can fold it in maybe about 1/2 inch. So you'll make your fabric piece slightly longer than your vinyl piece. And then I'm going to mark my center here. And then I'll press the two edges in. So I'll go ahead and do that and then come back. Okay, so we have our fabric piece done, pressed. Now we will find our center for our vinyl piece. And then we will take our double-sided tape, and I need to get that out, and lay it down on either side of the line that you marked. I like to do that, or you can get a wider piece of double-sided tape so you won't have to do that. It's up to you. And with the vinyl, with these straps, their long edges are going to be butted up together. Okay, so now that we have our vinyl piece folded over, we can go ahead and clip. You possibly don't have to clip. I just like to so have everything put together, held together. I don't have two pieces just kind of like flailing around, especially when you have such a long piece like this. The interfacing that I'm using is Sf101, which is a woven interfacing. I am also using fleece, and that just kind of gives a little bit of stability to the bag, but still gives it some squishiness, I guess. Allows for some squishiness. I did not realize how long I actually made this, but I made it a little too long. It's okay, I can fix it. Also, the double-sided tape that I'm using is from Wawac.com. I got the red vinyl from Joann Fabrics. The fabric is a cotton woven. This one is a custom order fabric. The lining I'm using is a water resistant canvas that you can get from Walmart. The zipper I'm using is a number 5 handbag zipper, and I get that from myhandmadespace.com, and I'll link everything as much as I can down below. My machine is a Juki TL18QVP. The hardware I'm using, Rivets, I believe I got from My Handmade Space. I have to double check on that. The square ring that I'll be using, adjustable slider, is from Joann's. If I realize I missed anything that I've listed, or anything that I should have listed, I will link it in the comments below. So you'll want to sew the fabric side up so it doesn't wrinkle when it is fabric side down. Stitch length at about a 4.5, 5. If you are using a domestic machine, it may vary, so just check that out. See what you prefer. All right, let's get going. Okay, so next we will be doing the cargo pocket. Oops. I don't think I mentioned, but I am using a size 18 needle. So we'll get our cargo pocket pieces and our zipper for our cargo pocket. And because it is Animal Crossing, I do have a leaf pull here. I'm so excited about it. I don't know, it's just so cute. So I cut zipper tab pieces here. I feel like that is, oh, that's right. So we'll have the right side together, and we'll go ahead and I'm probably going to do about 1/4 of an inch from the edge, but I guess it's really up to you. We'll have it at a constructive length, so the smaller length, stitch length. And go ahead and do the other side. Should have said right sides together if I didn't. Right sides together. And then we will fold these over and have a little bit of a top stitch. And we'll go back to that top stitch length. I don't even know. To the other side. Now you can go ahead and trim here the excess. Here that goes. That hangs off. So you have that little excess right there. And the reason why I do it is because to help line up your zipper for your seam allowance a little bit easier. You don't have to if you want to, but okay, so now what we have are what I'm going to do. The pattern has you sew these pieces the way they need to be sewn and then do the darts. I am going to do the darts now because the way they have you, you're not able to get those raw edges from showing, and you're able to cut out some bulk here as well by doing it this way. So I have the darts, and you're going to sew it on the wrong side, and I'm just going to do all the darts real quick. Make sure your lines match up when you make those dart lines. Smaller length. And I'm going to go ahead and speed through me sewing all of these darts. Okay, so now what you will do is you're going to trim that excess off as close to the seam as possible on all your dart pieces. I don't know if you saw, I was having issues with my snips. I think it's time for me to change my blades on those things. And you'll see in a few why I do it this way. But as you can tell, by cutting this way, you don't have to sew those pieces. So, find my zipper. There it is. All right. Now we're going to take, I don't think it matters if you start from your top or your bottom, but you're going to have your right sides together and find your center. I'm just going to use from the edge to edge of my actual zipper tape to find my center. I'm just going to do a small little mark. And we'll find our center here. I probably should have found my center before I did the darts, but I think we can still manage to make it work. Just a tiny snip. It's going to be our right sides together. Guess you could have done the darts after you put the zipper on, but I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. So now we'll go ahead and baste our zipper in place. With our longer stitch length. You can leave it as smaller stitch length, it's up to you. I do have my Teflon foot on right now, and that's just because we're going to be dealing with vinyl again in a few minutes. Well, not a few minutes, but after we put this cargo pocket together. Now we'll take the lining piece and right sides together. And you should have your center marked on your lining piece from when you did it, when you drew it out. But if you don't, I might want to put that the right way. If you don't, just go ahead and find your center piece, your center. All right, so I will take smaller stitch length and go ahead and sew this down at your seam allowance. Move my zipper pull out of the way. We'll pull the wrong sides together here. It's already looking super cute. And I'm going to close my zipper just so I'm able to pull this fabric just a little bit better. And we'll top stitch here. Top stitch length 4.5. 4.5, 5, whatever you decide. Just make sure you pull the lining exterior away from the zipper teeth. And you could have easily pressed this if you wanted to. I'm using vinyl at the zipper tab, so I'm not going to worry about it. Dropping clips everywhere. So now I'm going to just speed through it and do the bottom piece the same exact way. All right, so now I'm going to just trim off this excess vinyl here that's hanging off the edge. Now what we will be doing is dealing with our strap pieces. Once again, I do have my, why can't I think? The pattern pulled up. So I will need, oh, did I not? Okay, so I had to buy my hardware there for some reason. Yeah. Anyways, so now you're going to pull your lining piece away, and we're going to get our straps here. Now, the pattern calls for leather, but I don't use leather because my machine can't sew leather very well right now. So I'm using vinyl, and for it to fit the 1-inch strap connectors, I cut it by 2 inches instead of the 1 inch that it says. You could cut it 1 inch if you didn't care about your raw edges showing, but this is just like the normal way that I do straps anyways. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do it like this. So as usual, find your centers. And then double-sided tape. So I have it marked over here on the pattern piece, how far I need to have it over. Make sure I mark that correctly. Okay. The pattern piece has it marked where you should have it, but I just like to double check. It doesn't say the actual measurements on there. So one tip with using this pattern, you can just write on the pattern piece, measure on the pattern piece itself, how far over you need to put your connector and how far down. And I'm going to put another piece of double-sided tape just to hold that piece over or down. The fold over piece. And then I'll take a double-sided tape down the center of the connector here. I might have said it before, but if not, I'm using the little kitty Fisker scissors to cut the double-sided tape. And the reason why is these are Teflon, so they are coated so that tape, the adhesive from the tape, doesn't actually stick to the scissors. So that's why I use those when cutting double-sided tape. Right now we'll go ahead and place our connector here. Alright, and then we'll place it here. make sure when you're doing these straps to keep in mind your seam allowance that you had. Just oh wow, I think it's getting dark. Let's turn the lights on. Okay, so now I'm just going to sew up and across and back down. On both straps. So we'll have it at our higher stitch length. Okay. So 4.5, 5 back. Okay, so now we will do some rivets. And let me get my awl here. Okay, so I have all my rivets in, and now I'm going to press. I have my rivet press that I got from camsnaps.com. I will link that below as well. And you just press, press, press. This makes life so much easier as far as pressing. What would make life even easier is having those hole punch dies. Then I don't have to worry about stabbing myself with that awl. We'll be using that again later. Now we are going to, you can pull that lining piece back. You see all your dark pieces line up. Now, if you know that your machine can't handle layers, you could possibly do your straps with fabric. But I think this could, I'm pretty sure with vinyl, you could pretty much do this with a domestic. I think you should be good. Alright, so now we go ahead and just put our cargo piece on our main panel. Oh, they're like, I didn't even do it on purpose, but they're basically identical panel pieces. Yeah, that's cool. Thanks. Okay, I had a little mess up there. I had to fix that. But I'll remember to say it in the introduction, but you don't want to sew the strap all the way down the bottom because you're going to have to fold this fabric under here and then top stitch all the way around because the straps get secured when you're assembling the bag itself. Sorry about that. Okay, so back to placing the cargo pocket. One thing I do suggest is I've tried to take the pattern piece and measure where you're supposed to go, but it has this area on the pattern piece where it shows you where the pocket is supposed to lay. So what I did was I cut that piece out and then I just traced here. You can barely see it. I can barely see it where the cargo pocket actually needs to sit. So we will go ahead and get started with that. What you'll want to do is possibly press these edges in a little bit before we get to the pinning and top stitching of the actual pocket piece itself. So I pressed this just in the few places I could. But we're going to just fold and pin. Such a light line that I made. Now we'll fold. I'll pin the top first and then the bottom. Okay, so cargo pocket, I think, is probably the most difficult part about this bag, and I just stabbed myself in the finger with the needle, and I'm bleeding. Alrighty then. Okay, so don't stab yourself. Get a band-aid on. And now let's go ahead and top stitch this. And I think I'm gonna come back and do it this way. No, this way is better for me. Right. Just want to go slow around these corners. This is like honestly the only time I actually use my pens when it comes to bag making, because everything you can just clip most of the time. So I like to use my clips. Probably should have put 2 pins right here, but it's fine. It's okay. All right, so that cargo pocket is probably the hardest part of the bag, in my opinion. But you get it done first, so that's always good. You know, getting the hard parts out first is always best. I'm just gonna push it out. The thing about the cargo pockets is you really want to get those lines right so that it's actually a cargo pocket. So there we have it. Nice. What we're going to do now is we're going to take this piece and our lining piece of our top flap and put some magnetic snaps on those. So I'm going to take my pattern piece. I marked in the pattern piece where you can measure it out, but I feel like this is quicker. And I did it on the flat piece as well. make sure it's your lining piece. I guess you should do it on the back, not the front. I guess it doesn't really matter though, because it's going to be covered up by the magnet. And you could also use Velcro in this spot if you'd like. So I'm going to need some stabilizer here. So give me 1 second. I forgot about that. Okay, so I'm just using the Decoville Heavy Pellon 526. It's kind of hard to do on fleece, so I'm not going to really worry about it. But I will get these adhered to this piece. So, like I said before, if you're using a water resistant or waterproof canvas like this on the back, if you press the iron to it, it will melt. So what you want to do is just take that heat and just let it hover, warm up the adhesive, and then push the pieces down for them to adhere to where you need them to. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get our marks down here. So I'm going to take the washer, just one. It's not like you need like all four right now. And you're just going to mark where you're going to use your X-Acto knife. And just remark my spot here. You want to try to get almost exact as possible to make sure those magnetic snaps line up. All right. Get my X-Acto knife and mark. You get your these are the they call them the female side, which are these, or these are the female side. I guess I didn't cut it very well. Or did I not cut this one? I don't think I did. I didn't. Ha. Alright. This bag is already looking kind of cute. Pretty excited about it. And don't forget, dang it, I'm sorry, I gotta like pay attention to the sound. That's probably really loud, so I apologize about that. And duct tape. All right. Let's get the other snaps on, and then we'll move along. Okay, so now we're going to take our top piece of our flap and go ahead and right sides together. We'll probably should get all these pins out of the way so I don't stab myself a second time. This one wants like the top of it. There we go. All right, so we will take right sides together. You can clip or pin, whatever you like right here, if you're, especially if you're using fabric. If you're using vinyl, you definitely would probably want to just use some hairpins here and not actually clip. And so we're going to sew the U, leaving the top open at a smaller stitch length of about 3.5, 3.5. So now we're going to trim our seam allowance. You want to trim it, you know, pretty close to the stitches. And now we're going to flip it wrong sides together. Make sure you push the curves out nicely. I'm using fabric. I could easily just press this down here with an iron if I wanted to. I don't think it's necessary because you're able to just hand press it and keep on going. And now we're just going to top stitch here. 4.5 to 5 stitch length. So this, I haven't figured out how to do this better because you're going to put the straps on and you're supposed to rivet, but you know, you have to rivet through, you're going to have to watch yourself when you're getting through this part. So we're going to take our straps and mark our centers and do like we normally do. Mark our center, double-sided tape. All right. Okay, so now we are going to place our strap here on the top flap. I remember the last time I did it, I wanted to make sure it lined up correctly. So what I did was connected these pieces like this. And then one more needs to go over. All right. So now that we have those in place, we can rivet and stitch. Sorry, what I actually did was because you can't stitch these down and I wanted them to match, so I went ahead and did the stitching. I knew I was missing something. I was like, what did I do differently here? Okay, so okay. So now, this is where the interesting part comes in, because we need to put rivets. And you're like, well, the lining's right there. I know. But what we're going to do is take our awl and put our hand through to separate the strap from the fabric. I'll probably put our first rivet right here. Trying to make sure it doesn't shift while you're doing this. Well, it fell in there. can't find it. Alright, let's poke a hole in the dye. The fleece is making it a little bit hard for me to find that the end of the rivet. Where did it go? There it is. Jeez. All right. So I'll press these. I am going to press slightly through the within the lining. It's not going to cut the lining, so I'm not too worried about it. It'll just leave an indentation, but after some time, that indentation will wear away. So. Okay, so that is done. I feel like it's going to look really cute once we get everything put together. So that's our front panel. The front panel is done now. Thank goodness. Our next step, I believe, is the crossbody adjustment strap. So we're going to need our gusset pieces and our connector piece here and our strap here. And we will need our sliding adjuster here. We're going to find our centers. All right, centers found. Then where's my ruler? Here we go. So we're going to mark the end of where our connector needs to be. And I probably should mark my center of my connector here. Sorry, you might hear the kids in the background. All right, so we're going to take our rectangle ring. There we go. And we can just tack this down. You don't have to, but so we're going to take mark where this needs to be. And I'm just going to baste this in place. All right, so now we're going to take our strap. I'm going to put it through our adjuster. So up, through. This will be where it ends. Now you can rivet here. This does call for webbing. So if these layers are too much, if you decide to do it like this and your machine can't handle all the layers, then you can just use rivets. But with the webbing, you can just sew it just like this, no problem. Now what you're going to do is take the piece that your connector, and you're going to slide it through. Make sure I'm doing this the right way. Slide it through this way. And then you're going to come back and over. Make sure you do not twist your strap. I did that. I mean, you can kind of like fix it, I think, without problems, but just make sure. And now we are going to mark our centers on the other gusset piece. Oh, I already did that. And our center of our strap is just going to lay right here. And baste this in place. So now we have our adjustable strap attached to our gusset pieces. Haha, wrong. And what I say not to twist the strap, and I did. So I basted this the wrong side facing up. It happens. The seam ripper can be your friend. right way. Okay. All right. We will take a moment and come back and finish this bag. Okay, so that was a little bit longer than a moment, but been a couple days, but it's all right. Getting this bag done, getting this video done. So we just put our strap on. I did fix the strap, put it on the right way, the right side facing up. And then now we have these accent gusset pieces that we're going to sew over the strap. And you'll have it at a basting stitch of about 4.5, 5. So I had skip stitch there. And it was noticeable, too noticeable to say, okay, yeah, let's not worry about it. It actually was 3 in a row. Oh, wrong thing. I'm not taking out the needle. Because this Teflon foot doesn't like big level changes like that. So I'm going to put my regular foot back on. And then I'm just going to work slowly to follow those same stitches. Okay. And we get that skip stitch fixed. I'll take my thread zapper because there's a little bit of lingering from where I snipped it. Thread, so I can go ahead and melt it down a little bit. Try not to touch your vinyl because it will burn it. And then now we do a little, make a V, and I'm just going to take my pencil and make a V here. You can easily wipe. And it's just going from where the strap is, that edge of the accent piece, and meeting at where the strap stops. Same basting stitch length. Alright, and now we're just gonna do, you can just wipe the pencil off, and now we'll just do the other side. Okay, so the other piece was a little slightly too short. It could have been okay, but I didn't want to risk it, so I just cut a new piece so we can move along. And just top stitch. Well, and we're going to use the top stitch length, and we're just going to do the same thing we did to the other side. Okay. Now it calls for rivets here, right in the middle of the triangle. I believe that's optional. I am going to do the rivets, but I don't think you have to. And then just to kind of give you a show, this is the rivet press here. I got mine from Cam Snaps. Believe there might be other places there that you can get it from, but this is just where I got mine. So I can leave the link in the description box below to getting the press. It is kind of heavy. Okay, so now that we've got those accent pieces on there, now we can work with our side pocket here. They're going to go on our gusset, and right sides together. We'll go ahead and drop it to that smaller stitch length. Okay, and before we flip it and top stitch, we'll go ahead and do those dart pieces and make sure right sides together when you do the darts, and you'll follow just the one line. Make sure the two lines are lined up here, and then you'll just follow your line on top here. And you do that with all 4 pieces. So I'll speed through. Okay, so scissors. You'll want to trim off those bolt edges. Trim out that excess. That's less for you to have to sew through. And now we will flip the wrong sides together And you can top stitch now. If you can press this if you wanted to. I'm not going to do that. So that top stitch length, about 4.5, 5, and top stitch. Now it does have you cut accent pieces for the top of the pocket. You can opt out of it if you like. I have on one just because of how the how I had done a fussy cut of the pocket. I wanted to make sure that the picture was being seen. This one, it's I'm gonna go ahead and put the accent piece on just because I think it's fun. You know. So you'll just top stitch the accent piece on. Another reason why you might want to skip the accent piece is if you know for a fact your machine doesn't like those layers. Then I need new blades. Then that would be a reason to opt out of that. Seriously, new blades. So now we are going to go ahead and put our pocket onto our gusset pieces. So I have marked how far I need to be. So this is where our pocket needs to sit. And you can give it a little press on the edges. Right at the bottom. And then you'll pin. And you might want to find your center as well, because finding the centers is always good. Okay. So, and we'll need actual straight pins here. So just pin it down, and I'll go ahead and speed through the pinning process here. I went ahead and just skipped through me doing the second pocket. I pinned it, but I feel like that just been too much silence going in the video. So yeah, I sped through that. Just a little, just skip through that. You didn't need to see me pin a pocket twice. I'm making sure this is even, because it does not look like it. Let's see. Okay. All right, now we can just go ahead and baste this pocket in place. Keep in mind the bottom of the pocket, the stitches will be seen. So, you know, at that time you might want to take your time stitching the bottom part of the pocket. The pattern does say for you to fold these sides under as well, but I feel like that's not necessary, seeing as though the edges are going to go into the seam allowance anyway. So I just leave the raw edges there, and it'll get cut when you're trimming your seam allowances. It's a nice pocket though. Look at that. When you're proud of a pocket. All right, now let's do the other pocket. Okay, the pockets are done. Now we can go ahead and work on our lining pieces. We'll take one of the main panel pieces and we have our zipper pocket pieces. I do have the drive pulled up. I did. There we go. Okay. So we'll take one of the zipper panels, place it right sides to the main panel piece, and make sure you find your centers. I don't know why I always want to miss that part, but just find your centers. for both pieces. There we go. Do it like that. And we'll mark our long lines here. And I'm gonna make sure making this, yes, okay. Make sure I'm making it long enough. And we'll have it at a smaller stitch length. We'll only saw a saw. So the 2 long lines, making sure to back stitch at your start and stop. Try to get them as parallel, the parallel lines. Try to get your start and your stop almost exact. Turn my iron on. Trim, 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 true. Okay, and then we will fold this in half and cut down the middle. And then we'll cut to about a ½ inch and then make little darts right where you start and stop your lines, but make sure you do not cut your stitches, because then the pocket will come apart. You don't want that to happen. And we'll fold or pull the wrong side out, so wrong sides together, and then we'll press our pocket out. If you have fabric lining, if you're using fabric, then you can just fold from the press from the wrong side if you'd like. But because I'm using this, it's a water resistant canvas, this back little shiny piece will melt from the heat, so I have to press from the right side. Dang darts. I'll press this and come right back. Okay, so we have it pressed now, and now we will go ahead and baste our zipper in place. And you can take double-sided tape, whatever you'd like, to put the zipper to hold it. I'm just going to do it this way. Top stitch length, back stitch, And now right sides together. Take your other zipper panel piece, right sides together. Just leave the bottom open. So you'll do your two short ends and then your top of your zipper. Dropping, oops, wrong way, to a smaller stitch length. I did make the pocket bigger than the pattern calls for. Okay, our pocket is done. I did make this pocket bigger than the pattern calls for because I'm just like, it was such a small pocket. I don't know. What am I going to stick in this little tiny little pocket? Nothing, really. Next is going to be a slip pocket with an elastic piece. So right sides together. I'm going to do this a little differently. I'm just going to do probably like 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. Okay, so now we're going to fold it right sides together. We will top stitch like regular. And you can press it if you want it right here. Top stitch. So I am doing this. Oh, you might need thread. Okay. Let's change that bobbin up, huh? let's try that again. Okay, so I'm doing this a little bit differently than what the pattern calls for. It calls for you to roll it over, and I didn't want that rolled over piece in the pocket. So from my top stitch, I'm going to see about my elastic piece is 3/8 of an inch wide, I believe. Let's just double check. So then we want it slightly bigger than that. So I'm going to make my second line slightly wider than what my elastic piece is going to be. And I'll just use a mark here on my sewing machine to have this line follow. Still at that top stitch length. All right. So now I'll take my elastic piece, and I have a safety pin. And the safety pin, and now I'm going to just thread this through my gap here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to base this elastic piece in place. And then we'll trim off that. We'll take our other piece, and I'm going to pull the elastic to about, or pull the fabric. It's about the length that we need it. It doesn't, that's the one thing about this pattern, it doesn't really give you, you know, exact on how you need this to be, I guess. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clip it in place now to the main panel piece, and then we'll baste it in place. And you will have a little ruffled piece at the bottom. That's fine. Kind of maneuver it how you want to maneuver it. Okay, well, I'm going to have it at that basting stitch length, same as before. Now, you can trim out the excess. You probably could have trimmed out the excess elastic beforehand, but so now you can fold it to find out where your thirds are. You can just do a hat, like right down the middle. It's up to you. It says to do 3 pockets, so I'm just going to do what it says to do. Oh, usually when I start at the bottom, and I'm not gonna get super technical with it, but just sew here and sew there and be good to go. And now you got a little stretch. Possibly could have used a little bit more elastic in there. But I think it's fine. All right. Now that our lining pieces are done, we can move on to some assembly. So we'll take our gusset pieces and do right sides together. And if you're like me and just you need to get that excess interfacing off, go ahead and do it. I like to do it just to make sure that my seam allowances are correct. right sides together, and we'll sew down with our smaller stitch length to attach these together. Okay, fold them over. And I will go ahead and top stitch. Alright. Now we'll go ahead and take one of the main panels. We have our middle piece there already marked, and we'll line it up with that seam that we made with the 2 gussets, and then you're just going to clip it around. I will of course fast forward through this because this isn't very exciting. So there. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and stitch this bad boy down. Make sure you keep your strap out of the way. Using your smaller stitch length. And go. Okay, so just double checking my seam allowance, everything looks good. I didn't catch anything where something didn't need to be caught, so that's good. Not exactly sure where that thread is coming from. We'll zap it. Okay, so now we will do the other side after we trim. I need trim our seam allowance here. I don't know if I said what I'm interfacing with, but it is Sf101 and Thermolamb, so a fusible fleece, one-sided. Both of them you can purchase at Joann's. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the other side. I'm going to take our other panel piece. And Okay, so now we will, I believe, yeah, we turn this right side out. And then we'll take our top flap, right sides together, line it up. And then we'll baste it in place. All right, so we are almost done. Next, we're going to do the same thing with our gusset pieces. I get the bottom part of my pocket open. Make sure you open your zipper pocket. So we take our 2 gusset pieces, right sides together. Smaller stitch. And now we'll go ahead and press our seams out and top stitch at the seams. Oh, getting a little aggressive there. Okay, so we should have our centers marked on our main on these pieces as well. What are you doing? Right side together, lady. And same thing. Right sides together, and we're going to clip away. All right, so trim your seam allowances. And now what we're going to do is make our zipper closure. Right. Okay, so we'll put this to the side. We'll do our zipper closure now. Got our fossil pool to match. Yay. Find our center of our zipper. Just a small little mark. Okay, the way we're making what's called a recess zipper. So we'll want to make sure you find your centers. And because I have this black backing here, I can just mark it with pen, pencil, let's see. Nope. One, I don't know where all my marking pencils are, but here we go. We can just mark our center. Don't have to trim it. This. I mean, it leaves a mark on its own on this fabric, but we can mark it anyways. And so what we'll want to do is fold in our short edges slightly. And I'm going to press it, but you can measure exactly how much you're folding over on each edge. And then you're going to do the same thing with your lining piece. So I'll go ahead and do that now. All right, so now we have our ends pressed. So what I'm going to do is take one of our exterior pieces, line up the middle to our zipper, right sides together. And then we'll baste our zipper in place. So you see how the raw edges I pressed towards the wrong side. So we'll go ahead and baste our zipper in place. And then we're going to take our lining piece, and then it'll be the right sides together to the exterior piece, and we'll go ahead and sew that down. Okay, so my lining piece was shifting. I might have to redo this because this piece is just not looking like it's gonna line up right without it crinkling the exterior. So let's just check. Yeah, it wrinkled the exterior. So we will go ahead and seam a bit. All right. I know you're probably thinking to yourself, you could just take this and go straight down. Why didn't you do that? Well, I'm not good at that. And I have made holes in my lining, my exterior, ripped the zipper before. So I just slow and steady for me because, yeah. I think what I'll do is I'll clip it down at the bottom and maybe that'll help it from shifting too much. So we'll clip it. And I think I know why it shifted a lot, because it's kind of rubbery right there. So my foot might be getting stuck and pushing that lining piece out of the way. So I'll just do what I don't normally do and sew it from this side. Because I just don't want that exterior to be wonky because the lining isn't lining up. All right, that should be a lot better. Yes, wavy, wonky exterior piece. We don't want that. So now we're going to fold it the wrong side together. And hopefully your lining and your exterior piece line up pretty nicely. Okay. So what I'm going to do is make sure you pull your lining and your exterior away from your zipper. Let's go ahead. And I'll get my thread zapper for these. Whoop, the fuse is falling out. All right, so we're going to top stitch all the edges. So we'll top stitch all 4 edges. Okay, so now we'll do the same thing with the other side of our zipper. Nice and flat. Exterior, right sides together. And I'm just, at some point in my shifted as far as my center goes. So I'm just going to make sure my edges are lining up with the other exterior piece that is sewn on there. Now we'll go ahead and get our zipper tabs on. Let's see, how do I want to do? You can fold it in half and fold it this way. And then I had this together, and you know, one trick you can do if it does come apart is just give it a quick little sew over the top, that piece. My zipper was a little uneven right there, so I just kind of evened it out because it won't look good when you put it in your zipper tab. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew the width of the zipper tape itself. Give me one moment. Yeah. Yeah. That was the kid. One of them. And I'm just taking it slow. If you're doing a fabric zipper tab, and I think that's why my zipper tab is so big, they used fabric, and you would actually fold these raw edges in first before you did your double fold there. I could be fancy and put zipper caps on there, but when it's two sides, I think it's a bit much. All right, so we're just going to do the same thing to the other side. right, so now what we'll do is we will place our zipper into our lining, and you're going to want your lining pieces to face each other. You can find the center, but you don't necessarily have to. You can pretty much look at it, but if you want to be very exact, find your centers and clip them down. And now you're going to baste your zipper down. Okay. Now we'll unzip. And I believe what we do is right sides together. We shove that thing in here. Yeah, that's exactly what we do. For sure. I have my zipper pocket to the back, so I'm just making sure that my back is facing my zipper pocket. Make sure it's right sides together. All right, make sure you get that strap in there. And then we will match our seams together first. All 4 seams. Thread hanging around, hanging about. And it'll seem a little awkward at first, but you got this. Only because that zipper is right there, so it might seem a little weird. So we get all 4 seams lined up. And then now we'll clip the rest of the bag together. At first it seems like it's not going to line up right, just because the way this has to sit. You have to pull it around, but it should line up. If you follow the seam allowances and everything, you should be okay. All right, so we will go ahead and put this thing together. Smaller stitch length. Okay, so now we are ready to birth this bag, top stitching. I'm going to check the camera angle. Oops. And be right back. We will birth this bag. I did change how to do it. I don't like my stitches to be seen blatantly, so instead of birthing it through the bottom, because that's how they have you do it, leave a opening in the bottom of the lining. That's why I left the zipper pocket open, because I wanted to birth it through the zipper, and then the closing stitches would be hidden within the zipper. Alright. This bag is pretty squishy, so it's not as bad. If you were to do this with like all vinyl, you might have some fun with this. Alright, got our exterior. Pull the rest of the lining through. Or push. Alright. Push that pocket through. I mean, you could birth it through the bottom, then pull, like other bags, pull that exterior through the zipper, close the lining, pull it through the zipper, close the bottom, shove it back down, and then close the zipper. You could do it that way. Okay. Pretty cute. Making sure everything looks good, put together. Okay, so now we top stitch. We push that zipper down into, let's see, do I want to turn this right side out? No, because I feel like it'll be more of a pain to do it that way since it is a recessed zipper. I don't know. Maybe. Okay, so I'm going to clip it, clip it, clip it. Making sure that zipper is within the inside of the bag and the lining. Now, as far as this zipper piece goes, I think you could possibly just go and press it. If you wanted to, press this down. I'm not gonna. I don't think I need to. I think it should be fine. Since you can't clip. You could clip like this, but then you might accidentally sew through your sew through the top up here somewhere, so you don't want to do that. So we're not going to worry about it. We will start, and I'm going to sew exterior out. I don't know. I could have turned it out, but I'm pretty sure this is how I did it the last couple times. We'll just go with that. And we'll top stitch. So if you didn't notice, I was fighting with the strap because I forgot to move that strap out of the way. So remember to move your strap out of the way. But it is done. A little wrinkled, it's okay. But there we have it. See the magnets? There we go. For this bag, I think heavier magnets would probably work better because then it's a stronger magnet pull. But bag is done. Another thing I would suggest is the way I did the top straps. You might want to make sure you assess the pocket and make sure there's room for the pocket to move. So when you fill it, it's not stressing this out too much. But other than that, I think it's good. I think it's super cute. We can go ahead and close the pocket real quick since I tend to forget to do that. Because I get so excited that the bag is done and it's just, and it's so cute. Like, yeah. So we just fold this sign on itself. You can clip it, press it, rub it down. I don't know. I'm sorry. Oh gosh. All right. You can use the top stitch length or constructive. It's up to you. It's going to be inside the pocket, so it won't be really seen. Just make sure you catch the whole pocket. Alright. There we go. Madison is done. And she is cute. I think she's quite adorable. All right. So there we have it. There's our bag. Thank you once again. Like, subscribe, comment if you didn't like something. Sorry about how the video kind of went this time. Usually I get it done within the one night, but I got a little caught up with some orders and so had to come back later and finish it. But I think it still flows decently. Hopefully we'll find out, won't we? All right.